Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to a NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ. I have your questions from twitter.com/AaronRift using the hashtag NoDQvideo. First one today comes from Stefan. With Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey exchanging tweets and brawling every week on Raw, doesn't it feel like Charlotte is out of place? How can WWE ignore us by giving us a triple threat which will take the hype away? One-on-one is way more exciting than anything WWE has done in a long time. Well, this has been the direction for a while now. Ever since Survivor Series, WWE had this plan to do a triple threat match. Now, keep in mind, the original plan was for Ronda Rousey to face Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, but then Becky Lynch really caught fire during the fall, and WWE decided to change plans by adding Becky to the storyline and doing the three-way. And who knows, maybe at Survivor Series, Ronda would have been Becky Lynch and that would have been the end of it, and it would have been Charlotte versus Ronda at WrestleMania. So I think fans should be happy that Becky's in the match. And as I've said before, I like the idea of Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey. I would prefer one-on-one, but I'm fine with the triple threat. It makes sense with what WWE has been putting out there on television. It's a conclusion to Charlotte and Becky's storyline. It's a conclusion to Ronda Rousey's storyline with both of them. It's a nice way to wrap up this storyline. And you can potentially have Becky beat Ronda at WrestleMania. And then that does open the door if WWE wanted to do another Becky versus Charlotte match, and they may end up separating them anyways, with one of them moving during the brand extension, superstar shakeup, whatever you want to call it. So where does Charlotte get involved in this? I'm sure once we have the WrestleMania final build, you're going to see Charlotte implemented more often. At this point, it's mainly been Becky and Charlotte going back and forth with their tweets, and that has certainly gotten people talking. This whole blending reality and fiction, the worked shoot. Ronda Rousey saying that she's going to break the script and she's going to beat up Becky for real. And Charlotte's just kind of watching from the sidelines, which I think is fine with her character because Charlotte's character is just going to bide her time. She's not going to forcefully get herself involved. You know, she's going to think smart. She's going to be with the attitude, let these two go at it, and I'll just pick the bones from them once they've finished with each other. So, this next one comes from Joe. Hey Aaron, with Roman Reigns back in WWE now, when do you think that they will put the Universal title back on him? Because seriously, Brock being champion makes no sense when he doesn't even defend it. Might as well have the WWE champion represent both shows again. Here's the thing that I'm thinking with Roman Reigns. I could see him possibly going over to SmackDown Live. Now, some of you may say, well, wait a minute, SmackDown's the B show. But keep in mind that WWE SmackDown is moving to Fox this fall. And this is a really big financial deal for WWE. And they want this to be successful. They want the numbers up for this. So to me, we're going to see more of an emphasis on SmackDown just for the sake of WWE being able to make this transition as big as possible. So what better way to do it? Bring in Roman Reigns. Have him be the flagship of SmackDown to kick off SmackDown being on Fox. So I feel like this year we're not going to see SmackDown get gutted like previous years. And quite frankly, last year I think SmackDown got the best deal if you ask me. But I feel like as far as star power goes, SmackDown's going to do pretty well. And I'm thinking it's more likely we're going to see Roman Reigns move over to SmackDown and possibly feud with Daniel Bryan. It's also possible that Seth Rollins might switch over. I'm thinking it's going to be either Rollins or Roman Reigns going to SmackDown. If Reigns did stay on Raw, then yeah, I could see him potentially winning the Universal title relatively soon. Maybe we see the WWE Champion and the Universal Champion swap brands. Roman stays on Raw and feuds with Daniel Bryan over from SmackDown Live. So we could see that as well. There's a lot of different ways that this can go. But I don't necessarily see Roman Reigns feuding for the Universal title again because I can see these other scenarios playing out. Got this one here from John. What is the best way to book the finish of Batista and Triple H at WrestleMania, and who would you have win? Well, if Batista is sticking around after WrestleMania, if he's planning to do more matches with WWE, then Batista should win. I think that that's an obvious decision. Now, if this is a one-off, if Batista is just going to do this match and then he's done again, then you could have Triple H beat him, since Batista is not going to be facing other guys. But I feel like if Batista is sticking around, you want to protect his brand and you want to keep him strong for other opponents, whether it's Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, any number of guys that Batista could potentially face. This one comes from Scott Grimes. Hey Aaron, doesn't it seem like the big money match we've yet to see is Batista versus The Rock? The two Hollywood guys facing each other for supremacy, they would, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word, each other perfectly, but I think you're trying to say that they would work well together. I feel like it would, on paper, be an interesting match. However, I feel like it's too little too late. I feel like if one of them was around more often, you could make a better argument for it. But with both of them appearing so infrequently, I really don't think it's a good idea to have two guys that are not going to be around after WrestleMania doing a match with each other. It sounds very much like a Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar type of match from WrestleMania 20, although the fans know that these guys aren't just leaving the company because they're unhappy. They're only coming in for the one match. They love the business, but they have other things going on in their lives. So it might not get quite the backlash, but I could still see some fans resenting it because both guys are just coming in for the one match and then they'll be gone again. And that's a spot that other talents could take. And then, of course, there's the other argument that, well, these guys are going to bring eyeballs to WrestleMania, and that's what WrestleMania is all about, is the big names and having the star power on the show. My attitude is, if you need to bring in the outsiders for the star power, you got to rethink what you're doing with your current guys. You need to make your current guys the larger-than-life superstars. You need your next Rock. You need your next Stone Cold. So if you don't have those guys and you need to go to outside sources, then you got to rethink your strategy with how you're building up your superstars. Just my opinion, though. Got this one here from Ivan. Hey, Aaron, always appreciative of what you do. Keep up the awesome work. Do you see the possibility of a fatal four-way match between Mustafa Ali, Kevin Owens, Kofi Kingston, and Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania? Would not shock me at all, because I don't feel like the WWE title is going to get a huge spot on the WrestleMania card. I could see Bryan versus Kofi Kingston one-on-one, but at the same time, Vince might not feel that that's a strong enough marquee match. The fact that Kofi's been mid-card for so long, I could definitely see a four-way or even a five-way or some sort of multi-man match for the WWE title at WrestleMania. That way, Mustafa Ali doesn't feel left out. He gets his opportunity. Kofi gets his. So the Kofi fans are happy and everybody wins. Everyone gets their WrestleMania spot. It sounds like a typical thing WWE would do, booking these multi-person matches to get as many people on the card as possible. So yeah, I could see it. I could see it as a realistic possibility of happening. Got this one here from Mr. Yuck. Provided Kofi Kingston does make it to WrestleMania 35, and if he wins the WWE title, should the New Day invoke the Freebird Rule with the belt, leading into some sort of dynamic or breakup? I personally feel it's a little too tacky for the WWE title to do the Freebird Rule. I don't have a problem with it when it's like the tag team titles, you know, a mid-card title, but when it's what's supposed to be the most prestigious title in WWE, I'm not really a big fan of them splitting the duties of being WWE champion. So I think it waters down the title, although one could argue the title's already watered down. So for me personally, I would not do it. I don't think it's a great idea. And if you're going to break them up, I think there are other ways to do it. Just have Kofi win and have there be jealousy. You know, jealousy is is a very easy way to tell a story. Somebody's jealous of somebody else, and bam, you got your story right there. So I would keep it simple and not try to make it too complicated by saying, oh, they're going to do the Freebird Rule with the WWE title. I mean, it's never been done before, so one could argue, well, let's do it because it's something new we haven't seen before. I just personally feel it waters down the title. That's just me, though. Got this one here from Joshua Anderson. Doesn't seem hypocritical of WWE that they're inducting Tori Wilson even though she posed in Playboy, but they used Chyna's porn career as an excuse for not inducting her. There is a difference. Okay, so what Tori Wilson did was softcore. She's just appearing in a magazine nude. With Chyna, she was doing pretty hardcore stuff from what I understand. I haven't really gone around looking at her stuff. I mean, I have seen One Night in Chyna for journalistic purposes only, by the way. And yeah, that's obviously way more graphic than what Tori Wilson did in Playboy. So they are different. And Chyna, you know, some people are saying, well, Paige has her nude videos and photos out there. The difference is that Paige had her private information taken from her. With Chyna, she voluntarily did that stuff. And I think a better argument would be, how does WWE induct Mike Tyson into the Hall of Fame when he's a convicted rapist? Why was that not a big deal, but Chyna going into the Hall of Fame based on her past was a big deal? So to me, that's the better argument. Got this one here from Kai. What was the purpose of R-Truth's U.S. title run if he dropped it just after a few weeks? Couldn't they have done a Nakamura and Samoa Joe feud for the title instead? Your guess is as good as mine. Probably just because Vince got a good laugh out of it. Somebody maybe pitched the idea and Vince thought it was funny. And if Vince finds it funny, then you're gold. You're set. Vince will go with your idea. If you can get a laugh out of Vince, then you're sold. You have a storyline that is going to be utilized on television. And that's what I feel happened. I don't know this for a fact, but that would be my gut feeling on it, that it was probably just a concept that was pitched to Vince. Vince found it amusing and went with it. So not really much else to say about it. To me, it was total comedy. And again, that's why I feel it had something to do with Vince, because that kind of stuff is what gets Vince off, so to speak. That's what he likes, you know. He probably found it funny and decided, all right, pal, let's do it. Got this one here from Jason Bush. Could Dean Ambrose turn heel again at Fastlane? He could, but to me that would be a complete waste of time, and I just don't see how that would work. I don't think we're going to see any dissension between the Shield members. It's Roman Reigns' first match back. I don't see him losing. I don't see any heel turn or Dean Ambrose screwing over his team. I think the Shield's going to win, and whatever happens with Ambrose after that will depend on if he signs a new contract or not. This might be his last big match, and then he's slowly phased out of the picture. WWE gets their one more Shield match, and then they move on in new storyline directions. But I don't think it's going to happen. I would not bet money on it happening. Now, of course, it could happen, and maybe WWE could possibly do that as a swerve to throw everybody off. I mean, anything's possible, but my feeling is it's not going to happen, and I don't think it should, in my own opinion. Got this one here from Ethan. Hey, Aaron, I know this is a morbid way of thinking, but is Ciampa's neck injury a blessing in disguise for Johnny Gargano? He won't be stuck in the tag team division and could get a singles run. Well, here's a little bit of a spoiler alert, although not really a spoiler now, but WWE was setting up one more match between Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano for the TakeOver pay-per-view in New York. But due to Ciampa's injury, that is going to be dropped. He's going to have to relinquish the title. But the plan was for WWE to split them up anyways and have them go in different directions. And I feel like they would have ended up on separate brands if WWE's even still serious about a brand extension. So I don't know if it really would have mattered much. I think, if anything, Ciampa being gone means there will be more emphasis put on Johnny Gargano. You know, he gets more of the spotlight now with Ciampa gone, and I think Ricochet and Aleister Black will also benefit from that, because instead of 4 guys getting the big push, now you got the 3 guys getting the big push, so there's more emphasis put on the remaining 3. So I think that that's probably the positive for those guys, is that they will have more attention put on them, and they will ultimately get more TV time out of this. And it really just sucks for Ciampa, though. Just the absolute worst timing. I feel really bad for the guy. That'll do it for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thank you all so much for watching and continuing to support NoDQ.com. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend, anybody on social media who watches wrestling, have them check out the video. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for coverage of WWE Fastlane. And I will see you guys next time.